You gave your heart. You tried to be enough, but they still left or never chose you at all. This audiobook isn't about them. It's about remembering that you were worthy the whole time. Healing from Rejection, written by Adrian Blake. Audiobook by ReadRealm. Chapter 1. The Wound of Rejection. When Maya was 9 years old, her father left and never came back. No explanation. No goodbye, just silence. She waited by the window every weekend, hoping his car would pull into the driveway. It never did. Every missed birthday and forgotten holiday carved a deeper wound into her heart. She told herself it didn't matter. She grew up. She built a career, made friends, even fell in love, but the echo of his absence never truly left. Later, when her partner abruptly ended their relationship with a cold text message, "I'm just not feeling it anymore," something inside Maya cracked wide open. It wasn't just heartbreak. It was something deeper, something old. She couldn't stop crying, couldn't sleep, couldn't concentrate. A part of her felt like a discarded child all over again. That's the thing about rejection. It doesn't just hurt in the moment. It often reaches into the past, unearthing every time we felt not chosen, not good enough, not worthy of love or belonging. Rejection is one of the most painful emotional wounds we can experience. It has a way of making us question our value. It attacks the very core of who we are. Physically, rejection can feel like a tight chest, a lump in the throat, or a heavy ache in the stomach. Emotionally, it brings a wave of sadness, embarrassment, anger, or shame. Mentally, it can spin a cruel story. I'm unlovable. I'm a failure. I'll always be alone. But here's what you need to know. You are not alone in this pain. Rejection touches all of us. Maybe you've been passed over for a job you desperately wanted. Maybe a parent never gave you the love you needed. Maybe a friend walked away when you needed them most. Whether it's a romantic breakup, a family estrangement, or being excluded from a group, we've all felt that sting. Rejection is universal. But what we do with it, that's where the healing begins. You see, rejection is not a verdict. It's not a declaration of your worth. It's not a prophecy about your future. Rejection is pain, yes, but it can also be a doorway. It can invite us to look inward, to uncover old wounds we've been carrying, and to begin the work of healing. When we choose to face our pain instead of avoiding it, we reclaim our power. When we stop seeking validation from those who turned away, we begin to return to ourselves. This book is not here to give you quick fixes or shallow encouragements. It's here to walk with you through the layers of rejection you may have buried, to help you understand that your worth isn't up for debate, that you are lovable, even if someone couldn't love you the way you needed, that you can rise from this pain with a stronger sense of who you are not. So if you're holding heartbreak, carrying old wounds, or trying to make sense of why you were left out, pushed away, or made to feel small, take a breath. You've come to the right place. This book is your journey back to self-worth. Chapter 2. Understanding Rejection. Rejection is more than just someone saying no. It's the experience of feeling unwanted, unaccepted, or unworthy. And while some rejections are clear and concrete, like being turned down for a job or a relationship ending, others are more subtle and perceived. A friend who doesn't return, your message, a parent who is emotionally distant, or a group that didn't include you. These moments may not be intentional, but they can still deeply wound us. There are many forms of rejection, each carrying its own weight. Social rejection often shows up in our friendships and communities, being left out, ignored, or not invited. Romantic rejection can be devastating, especially when we've given our hearts to someone who doesn't feel the same. Parental rejection, whether through neglect, criticism, or favoritism, can cut the deepest, especially when it happens in childhood. And then there's professional rejection, being overlooked, undervalued, or dismissed at work, which can trigger feelings of inadequacy and failure. What's important to know is that our brains are wired to treat rejection as a real threat. Studies have shown that the same areas of the brain that light up during physical pain are activated when we experience emotional rejection. That's why a harsh comment or being excluded can actually hurt. Our brain doesn't fully distinguish between a broken bone and a broken heart. But why does rejection affect some people more than others? The answer lies in our personal histories. People who've experienced rejection early in life, especially from caregivers, often carry a deeper sensitivity to it. Those early wounds can shape how we interpret new experiences. A simple, "I'm busy" text might feel like, "You don't matter," if you've been emotionally neglected before. This doesn't mean you're too sensitive. It means your nervous system is still protecting you from past hurt. When rejection goes unresolved, it doesn't just sit quietly in the background. It influences the way we see ourselves and the choices we make. We may avoid taking risks, fearing another rejection. We may overplease others to be accepted. Or we may pull away from connection entirely, believing we're better off alone. In time, rejection can quietly shape our identity, whispering lies like, "I'm not good enough," "I'm too much," or "no one stays." Understanding rejection is the first step to healing from it. When we see it clearly, not as a reflection of our worth, but as an emotional wound, we can begin to treat it with compassion, not shame. You're not broken for feeling hurt. You're human, Doc, and the good news? What's been learned can be unlearned. What's been wounded can be healed. The chapters ahead will guide you through that healing, one step at a time. Chapter 3. The Hidden Roots of Pain. Rejection hurts deeply in the present moment, but its roots often run much deeper, sometimes farther back into our past than we realize. The pain you feel now may be echoing from moments in childhood or earlier years when your emotional needs were unmet or misunderstood. These early wounds leave impressions that influence how we respond to rejection today. Childhood is often the fertile ground where many of our deepest emotional wounds begin. For some, it was marked by abandonment, a parent who left physically or emotionally, or who was simply unavailable when you needed comfort and connection. For others, it was a landscape of constant criticism, where nothing you did seemed good enough to earn approval or affection. And for many, it was a place where favoritism shaped how love was given, where affection felt conditional, reserved only for when you succeeded or behaved just right. These experiences don't just vanish. They shape how we see ourselves. And the world around us. These early patterns become emotional blueprints that quietly influence our adult lives. If you grew up feeling ignored or dismissed, you might now fear being invisible or forgotten in your relationships. If praise was tied only to achievement, you may find your self-worth closely linked to success or approval from others. When rejection happens now, it doesn't just sting on its own. It reactivates these old patterns, as if those childhood wounds are being reopened. Understanding attachment styles helps explain why we respond differently to rejection. Our earliest bonds with caregivers lay the foundation for how we connect with others as adults. When those early relationships were secure, consistent, loving, and safe, we tend to face rejection with more resilience. But if those bonds were unpredictable, distant, or painful, we might develop anxious or avoidant attachment styles. People with anxious attachment often cling to relationships, fearing abandonment and desperately seeking reassurance. Those with avoidant attachment may push people away before they can be hurt, valuing independence to protect themselves. Neither style is a flaw. They're survival strategies crafted by your nervous system to protect you from further pain. Another vital piece of this puzzle is the concept of the inner child, the part of you that still holds the fears, hopes, and unmet needs from your earliest years. Even as adults, this younger self remains present beneath the surface, influencing how we react to situations today. When you feel rejected by a partner, friend, or coworker, it may not be just about that moment. Your inner child might be remembering a time they felt unloved, unseen, or abandoned, and that old pain is coloring your response. Have you ever found yourself reacting more strongly to something than you expected, and later wondered, why did that bother me so much? Often, that's your inner child calling out, asking for attention, care, and healing. Take a quiet moment now and reflect. When did you first feel like you weren't enough? What did you need to hear back that no one said? What parts of you are still longing to be seen and accepted? These questions aren't about blame. They're about gaining clarity and self-awareness. Healing begins when we understand where our pain started, allowing us to offer ourselves compassion in the present moment. You weren't weak for needing love. You were human, and you still are. The chapters ahead will help you reconnect with that inner child, not to stay stuck in the past, but to finally release the pain and choose a new path forward. Chapter 4. Emotional Triggers and Responses. You're going about your day, feeling relatively okay, when suddenly you notice someone has left your message on read and hasn't replied. Or maybe a close friend forgets to invite you to a gathering. Or a loved one says something that unexpectedly stings. A comment that seems small, but hits deeper than you expected. Almost instantly, your chest tightens, your stomach sinks. A wave of discomfort washes over you. You might lash out in frustration, or on the other side, shut down completely and retreat into yourself. These intense reactions are what we call emotional triggers, quick, powerful responses that often seem to come out of nowhere. But they don't truly come from nowhere. Most emotional triggers are linked to past pain, especially wounds left by previous experiences of rejection. They tap into memories, feelings, or fears we might not even realize are still there, simmering beneath the surface. Some of the most common rejection triggers include ghosting, when someone disappears without explanation, leaving you feeling invisible or discarded. The silence feels like a void, making you question your worth. Exclusion, being left out of conversations, events, or decisions, can bring up feelings of loneliness and not belonging. Betrayal, when trust is broken, it can leave you feeling foolish, unimportant, or naive, reopening old wounds of abandonment or hurt. Even seemingly small moments, like being interrupted mid-sentence or not receiving a timely response, can spark an outsized emotional reaction. While these moments may appear minor on the surface, your nervous system reacts as if it's a major threat. It senses danger and activates what's called the fight-flight-freeze response. When you feel emotionally threatened, your body automatically prepares to either fight, you might snap at someone, become defensive, or argue. Flight, you may withdraw. Avoid social interaction, or distract yourself by busyness or other activities. Freeze, sometimes you feel numb or stuck, unable to speak or think clearly. These responses are deeply human and originally evolved to protect us from harm. However, when we don't become aware of them, they can keep us stuck in painful cycles. Instead of pausing and responding thoughtfully, we react impulsively. We say things we later regret or pull away from people we actually want to connect with. We remain trapped in emotional turmoil. So, how do we start to shift this pattern? One of the most effective ways is to slow down your nervous system when you feel triggered. Instead of immediately reacting, try to pause. Take a slow, deep breath. Bring your attention to your body and the sensations you're feeling. Put words to your emotions. Say to yourself, I feel rejected, or I feel invisible, or I feel unimportant. Naming your feelings helps you gain clarity and distance from the intensity. Another powerful tool is journaling. Writing about what triggered you and how it made you feel creates space between the trigger and your reaction. It allows your inner self to be heard and helps untangle the story your mind might be telling from the actual truth of the moment. Here's a simple grounding practice you can try anytime you feel overwhelmed. 1. Breathe in deeply for 4 seconds. 2. Hold your breath for 4 seconds. 3. Exhale slowly for 6 seconds. 4. Repeat this cycle a few times until you feel calmer. Then, write down what just happened. What did this moment remind me of from my past? What do I need right now to feel safe and cared for? Healing doesn't mean you'll never feel triggered again. Triggers are a natural part of being human. Healing means learning to respond with compassion rather than reacting out of fear or pain. With practice, patience, and awareness, you can sit with your emotions, honor them, and choose a better way forward. One that nurtures your growth instead of feeding old wounds. Chapter 5. Breaking the shame cycle. Rejection doesn't just hurt, it whispers lies. One of the most damaging lies it tells is, you're not good enough. At first, rejection feels like a sharp sting, painful but temporary. Over time, though, this pain can settle deeper, transforming into something heavier and more persistent. Shame. Unlike the quick but sharp ache of rejection, shame burrows into our sense of identity. It convinces us that there is something fundamentally wrong with who we are, making us feel flawed at the very core. Understanding the difference between guilt and shame is crucial because they impact us in very different ways. Guilt says, I did something wrong. It focuses on specific actions or mistakes. When we feel guilty, we often want to make amends or change our behavior. Guilt is uncomfortable, yes, but it can be motivating and constructive. Shame, on the other hand, says, I am something wrong. It attacks our very self-worth and identity. Shame tells us we are unworthy, not because of what we did, but because of who we are. It doesn't inspire change. It paralyzes us with feelings of inadequacy. Shame lingers quietly, invisibly, and steadily erodes our self-esteem, trapping us in a vicious cycle of self-blame. After experiencing rejection, especially, when it's repeated or deep, shame often sneaks in unnoticed. It might sound like this in your mind. I must have deserved this. I always mess things up. No one stays because I'm not worth staying for. In the moment, these thoughts feel like undeniable truth, but they are usually echoes of old wounds, negative self-talk rooted in past pain. The more we listen to these voices and repeat these beliefs, the more we reinforce the rejection's pain, making healing feel even more out of reach. This creates what I call the shame cycle. Rejection happens. We blame ourselves, our self-worth drops, and then fear of further rejection grows, keeping us trapped in a loop of pain. So, how do we break free? It starts with awareness. Learning to recognize when shame has taken hold is the first step. That harsh inner critic, the voice that says, you're not enough, is not your true self. It is your hurt, your fear, your past pain masquerading as protection. Even though it causes more harm, one of the most powerful ways to combat shame is with self-compassionate language. Imagine how you would speak to a dear friend who felt rejected. You wouldn't criticize or shame them. You'd offer kindness and understanding. Now, try offering yourself that same gentle support. Instead of, I'm a failure, say, I'm hurting right now, and that's okay. I am still worthy of love and respect. Another important tool is positive affirmations. These aren't empty platitudes, they're grounded truths that remind you of your real value. I am not defined by who left me. I am worthy of love and belonging. I release shame and choose compassion. Say these affirmations aloud, write them down, or repeat them quietly whenever shame tries to return. Over time, these new messages help rewire your thinking, replacing old, painful stories with ones that heal. Remember, you don't have to believe the lies shame tells anymore. Rejection may have planted the seed, but you hold the power to stop watering it. You can uproot shame and plant something better: truth, compassion, and worthiness. Breaking the shame cycle isn't quick or easy. It takes patience and kindness toward yourself. But when healing begins, you'll discover something powerful. Your worth has always been there, waiting quietly for you to see it. Chapter 6. Rejection in Relationships. Relationships are where we hope to feel safe, seen, and loved. They are the spaces where our hearts open and our vulnerability is met with trust. So, when rejection happens in these spaces, it cuts deeper than almost anything else. It's not just about losing someone, it's about questioning our very worth, our place in the world, and sometimes even our right to love and be loved. Romantic rejection is often the most intense and heart-wrenching. Whether it's a breakup, unrequited love, or betrayal like infidelity, the pain can feel like your world has been shattered. When someone you deeply care for no longer chooses you, it's easy to fall into the trap of blaming yourself. You may ask, was I not enough? Or, what did I do wrong? But here's a crucial truth. The ending of love does not mean you are unlovable. Often, people leave not because of your shortcomings, but because of their own unresolved wounds or limitations. Their departure reflects their inability to stay, not your lack of worth. And there is friendship rejection, a type of pain that is sometimes underestimated, but just as real. Being left out of a group, misunderstood by a close friend, or ghosted without explanation can leave you feeling confused, hurt, and even betrayed. You might catch yourself thinking, I thought we were closer than that. Or, what did I do to deserve this? Friendship rejection is a reminder that emotional bonds outside of romance also carry deep significance, and losing them can shake your sense of belonging. Family rejection may be the hardest to understand, accept, and heal from. When the people who are supposed to love us unconditionally, our parents, siblings, or extended family, fall short, it leaves wounds that run deep. Family rejection can take many forms: emotional distance, unmet expectations, favoritism, or even estrangement. Some carry the heavy burden of guilt and shame, constantly searching for approval that never arrives. The pain of family rejection often feels like a betrayal from the very people who should have been our first protectors, and this can leave lasting scars on our self-esteem and trust. But here's a truth you need to hold close. You are worthy of love, even if someone couldn't give it to you. Their inability to love you in the way you needed doesn't diminish your value. It reflects their limitations, their struggles, or their choices, not your worth. Rejection from others is never a proof that you are broken or unlovable. Instead, it shows that they couldn't meet you where you were, and that is on them, not on you. You can allow yourself to mourn the loss. You can feel the hurt fully without shame or judgment. And after that, you can move forward knowing that love hasn't disappeared. It's just not where you expected it to be. The coming chapters will guide you to rebuild your foundation of self-love and trust, because your heart remains whole, even if it feels bruised, and it is still deserving of love, starting with the love you give yourself. Chapter 7. Self-worth beyond rejection. One of the most powerful steps in healing from rejection is embracing a deep, transformative truth. Self-worth is not defined by who accepts or rejects you. For many of us, our sense of value has been tangled up in the opinions, approval, and acceptance of others. Whether it's a partner, friend, family member, or even a boss, their acceptance can feel like the very foundation of our worth. This is a fragile foundation, because when that approval disappears, so does our sense of self. Suddenly, we feel unsteady, lost, and empty. This is why so many fall into the trap of people-pleasing. We say yes when we want to say no. We hide our true feelings and shrink ourselves to fit in. We chase validation as if it's the key to feeling whole and safe. The problem is, no matter how much we do to please others, it's never truly enough. Why? Because when our worth depends on someone else's approval, it's always at risk, always conditional, always uncertain. True. Healing and lasting confidence begin when you make a choice. My value does not change based on someone else's response to me. This decision is revolutionary. It shifts the power back into your hands. It means your worth is rooted in something stable and unchanging you. That's where healthy boundaries become essential. Boundaries aren't walls meant to shut people out. Instead, think of them as fences that protect your peace. They allow you to say, "This is what I need to feel safe," or "This is where I end and someone else begins." Boundaries are acts of self-respect. The more you honor your needs and limits, the more you send a message to yourself and others that your worth is non-negotiable. Setting boundaries can feel scary at first because it means you might disappoint or upset others. But remember, boundaries are about self-care, not punishment. They give you space to breathe, grow, and stand firmly in who you are. A practical way to strengthen your self-worth is by changing the way you speak to yourself. Often, the biggest barrier to self-love is the voice inside that says, "You're only valuable if they like you." Catch that inner critic and gently replace its message with truth. Here are some affirmations to practice daily. I am enough, even when others don't see it. I do not need to prove my worth. I can love myself without needing permission. These affirmations aren't empty words. They're reminders of their inherent value, independent of external approval. You don't have to earn your place in this world. You already belong. Your worth isn't up for debate, not by a partner, a parent, a boss, or a friend. It's rooted in the simple, undeniable fact that you exist. The more you internalize this, the less power rejection will hold over you. You'll stand taller, not because everyone applauds you, but because you know who you are. And that kind of worth, it's unshakable. It never leaves. When your self-worth comes from within, rejection loses its sting. You become whole, grounded, and free. And that freedom? It's the foundation for healing, growth, and a life lived on your own terms. Chapter 8. The power of forgiveness. Forgiveness is one of the most misunderstood parts of emotional healing. Many people think that to forgive means to excuse someone's behavior, to forget the pain they caused, or to open the door for them back into your life. But real forgiveness is none of these things. It's not about condoning what happened or pretending it didn't hurt. Instead, forgiveness is a powerful act of freeing yourself from the heavy burden of pain and resentment that keeps you trapped. When someone rejects or wounds us, that pain often lingers long after the moment has passed. We replay their words over and over in our minds. We relive the silence, the absence, the betrayal. We ask ourselves, why did they do this to me? What did I do wrong? Sometimes we hold out hope for explanations or apologies that may never come. Here's the hard truth. They might never say the words you want to hear. They might never change. But forgiveness isn't about them. It's about you. It's the decision to say, I will no longer allow what happened to keep hurting me. Equally important in this journey is self-forgiveness. So often, when we face rejection, our minds turn inward, blaming ourselves. Maybe I wasn't enough. I should have seen this coming. It must be my fault. These thoughts deepen the wound rather than heal it. Healing means releasing the heavy burden of guilt and self-blame. Yes, you might have made mistakes. Everyone does. But that never means you deserve to be rejected, abandoned, or hurt. Let me share a story about Lisa. She carried a deep resentment toward her father, who left when she was a child. For years, this anger weighed heavily on her heart, shaping how she saw herself and others. Then one day, she decided to write a letter, not to send, but to release. She poured out all her feelings: anger, confusion, sadness. At the end, she wrote, "I release you. I release myself." She didn't write it for her father. She wrote it for herself, to finally breathe and move forward. You can try something similar: the letter of release. Take some time to write a letter to the person who hurt you, or even to yourself. Say everything you've been holding inside. What hurt, what you wish had been different, what you needed but never received. When you're ready, close the letter with words of forgiveness, not because the other person earned it, but because you deserve peace, and don't send it. This letter is for your heart alone. Forgiveness is not a one-time event, but a continuous practice. Some days it will feel natural and freeing. Other days it may feel impossible. That's okay. What matters is the direction your heart is moving, toward release, toward freedom. Letting go through forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It means choosing freedom over bitterness, peace over pain. It means reclaiming your power and refusing to be held captive by the past. And that choice, it changes everything. Chapter 9. Rebuilding with Resilience. Rejection may shake you deeply, but it doesn't have to break you. In fact, sometimes rejection becomes the very thing that builds your strength. This is the heart of resilience, your ability to keep moving forward, to grow through the pain, and to emerge stronger on the other side. Emotional resilience doesn't mean you stop feeling hurt or that you pretend everything is fine. It means learning how to bounce back from setbacks with wisdom, rather than carrying pain like a wound that never heals. Resilience is not about resistance or denial. It starts with the way you choose to see what happened. What if rejection wasn't a dead end, but a redirection? Instead of a stop sign, what if it's a signpost pointing you in a new direction? One that leads to growth, opportunity, and self-discovery? Think back to moments when you didn't get what you wanted, only to find something better later on. Maybe a job you hoped for passed you by, or a relationship ended suddenly. Perhaps a door closed you never expected. Those moments, while painful, often clear space for new possibilities more aligned with who you are becoming. Take James, for example. He was an aspiring author who faced rejection after rejection from publishers. Each no felt like a dead end, and at times he was ready to give up. But instead of quitting, James chose to keep writing and eventually self-published his book. That book went on to touch thousands of readers worldwide. The rejection he faced didn't stop his journey. It rerouted it in a way that gave him more control and creative freedom. Or consider Maya, who went through a heartbreaking breakup. At first, the pain felt unbearable, but over time, that heartbreak became a turning point. Maya shifted her focus inward. She invested in her healing, discovered new passions, and found a version of herself she hadn't known before. That rejection, painful as it was, became a catalyst for deep personal growth. The key to resilience is reframing rejection as a lesson rather than a label. Rejection doesn't mean you're not good enough or that you've failed. Often, it means the timing wasn't right, the situation wasn't a perfect fit, or the person involved wasn't the right match for who you are. It's not a judgment on your worth. It's a signpost signaling you toward a different path. Start asking yourself reflective questions like, what did I learn from this experience? What strengths has this pain revealed in me? Who am I becoming because of this journey? Resilience grows through reflection, not resistance. The more you see setbacks and failures as part of your unfolding story, not as the final chapter, the more empowered you'll feel. Rejection may have slowed you down, but it does not get to define your future. You do. With every step forward, you prove to yourself that what hurt you will not hold you back. You're not starting over. You're starting stronger. Chapter 10. Daily Habits to Heal. Healing from rejection isn't a one-time event. It's a daily practice. Just like physical wounds need care every day to mend properly, emotional wounds require consistent attention, kindness, and small habits that build resilience over time. What you do each day shapes how you feel and how quickly you move forward. One of the most powerful tools for emotional healing is journaling. Writing down your thoughts gives you space to process pain without judgment. Here are some simple journaling prompts to guide you. What did I learn from this experience? What emotions am I feeling right now? What do I need to say to myself today? How can I show myself kindness right now? What's one small step I can take toward healing? Try to set aside even 5 minutes a day to reflect honestly. Over time, you'll begin to notice patterns, shifts, and new insights that help you untangle complex feelings. Starting your day with morning affirmations can also strengthen your emotional foundation. These aren't just feel-good phrases, they're reminders of your worth and power that set the tone for the day. Here are a few to try. I am enough just as I am. I release what no longer serves me. I am open to love and healing. Choose peace over pain today. Speak these aloud, write them on sticky notes, or repeat them quietly in your mind whenever you need a boost. Alongside journaling and affirmations, meditation and mindfulness practices help regulate mood and calm the nervous system. Even a few minutes of focused breathing or guided meditation can reduce anxiety and create space between you and painful emotions. Try this simple breathing exercise. Breathe in slowly for 4 counts. Hold for 4 counts. Exhale gently for 6 counts. Repeat for 3 to 5 minutes. Mindfulness encourages you to observe your feelings without judgment, watching thoughts come and go like clouds in the sky. This practice helps you resist getting overwhelmed by rejection's grip and reminds you that feelings are temporary, not permanent. Lastly, don't underestimate the power of support systems. Healing doesn't have to be a solo journey. Whether it's a trusted therapist, a close friend, a support group, or a faith community, surrounding yourself with people who listen and care creates a safety net. They remind you that you're not alone and that your pain is valid. If you're struggling to find support, consider reaching out to a counselor or joining local or online groups focused on emotional healing. Sometimes just knowing others have walked this path before can give you hope and courage. Remember, healing is a journey made up of many small steps. These daily habits aren't about rushing the process. They're about gently guiding yourself back to wholeness, one moment at a time. You deserve that care. You deserve that peace. And it starts with the small, loving things you do for yourself every day. Chapter 11. Finding meaning in the pain. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, once said, "Suffering ceases to be suffering the moment it finds meaning." This simple yet profound idea holds a key to transforming your rejection from a source of pain into a powerful catalyst for growth. When we're in the middle of rejection, it can feel like pure suffering, empty, unfair, and isolating. But over time, if we look closely, that pain can become a bridge to something greater. It can birth purpose. Your story, your unique experience of heartbreak and healing, can become a light for others walking through similar darkness. Many people who have faced deep rejection find that their wounds become their wisdom. They begin to share their journey, helping others understand that they're not alone. Your scars can become a testimony of survival and resilience, not reminders of failure. Think about it this way. Rejection, while painful, is also a doorway. It invites you to step into a new chapter where you're no longer defined by what you lost, but by what you choose to create. When you find meaning in your pain, you reclaim your narrative. You might discover that your experience inspires someone struggling to believe in themselves. You might find a calling in helping others heal. Or simply, you might gain a deeper understanding of your own strength and compassion. Meaning doesn't erase the hurt, it honors it. It acknowledges that your pain was real, but also points toward hope and growth. It's the difference between carrying a heavy burden and holding a torch that lights your path forward. So, as you move through healing, ask yourself, what can this pain teach me? How might my story encourage someone else? How can I turn rejection into a stepping stone, not a stumbling block? Rejection doesn't have to be the end of your story. When you find meaning in your suffering, it becomes a chapter of transformation. One where you grow stronger, wiser, and more connected to your true self. Let your pain be a passage, not a prison. And let your healing be a testimony, not a defeat. Conclusion: a new identity and wholeness. Healing from rejection is not just about moving past pain. It's about embracing a new way of seeing yourself. It's choosing a narrative that says, I am loved, I am chosen, I am whole. These aren't empty words or wishful thinking. They are the foundation for your new identity. Rejection may have shaped parts of your story, but it does not define who you are. You are not the sum of what happened to you. You are who you decide to become in response. Every step you've taken to understand, to forgive, and to heal has brought you closer to the truth of your worth. Imagine looking in the mirror and seeing not someone broken or unworthy, but someone complete and enough, just as they are. That is your birthright, not something to earn or prove, but something to reclaim. This new identity is rooted in acceptance. Accepting your past, your imperfections, and your resilience. It's also rooted in hope, the hope that your future holds. Love, connection, and peace, regardless of what you've been through. You've learned that rejection is painful, yes, but it is not your final chapter. It is a chapter that can lead to growth, to strength, and to deeper self-love. So here's what I want you to remember. You are no longer rejected. You are reclaimed. Reclaimed by your own compassion, your own courage, and your own truth. You are worthy of belonging. You are deserving of love. You are enough, not because someone else said so, but because you chose to believe it. As you close this book, carry this message with you. Let it echo in your heart whenever doubt creeps in or old fears resurface. Your story is still unfolding, and it holds more beauty, healing, and joy than you might have imagined. You are whole. You are loved. You are chosen. And that is the most powerful truth of all. Thanks for joining us in ReadRealm, where every book finds a voice. If you enjoyed this audiobook, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a new upload. Got a book in mind? Drop it in the comments. You're next. Favorite listen could be our next upload. Until then, keep your mind open and your headphones on.